Hey Moonbeams, it's me, Celia Marie 1243, Celia the Spirit Guide Whisperer, your fairy tarot sister. That kind of rhymed. I wasn't expecting that to happen. I stopped just calling myself fairy tarot sister because I have gone so much beyond tarot. But I am a spiritual mentor, your spiritual bestie. I teach people how to tap into their intuition, how to navigate your spiritual journey, connect with your spirit guides, face your shadows, do your shadow work, find the medicine in those shadows. So I am glad that you are here watching. If any of those things interest you, make sure you follow if this feels like something that you need to do more of. This video is going to be a really good one. What I wish I knew sooner on my spiritual journey. So I did a kind of like story time or, like update on my spiritual journey. I think it was a couple years ago actually. But if you watch that, you'll learn a little bit about my spiritual journey, kind of from the beginning. But I have been on like a strong, like really focused on spiritual stuff for the past like 3 or 4 years maybe. And now, like I said, I'm a spiritual mentor. I teach people how to go through their own journeys. I teach tarot, mediumship, all of those things. And these are some of the things that I really wish that I knew sooner. Now I say that with a disclaimer because we know that, or maybe you don't, we know that everything on your journey happens for a reason and it happens in divine timing. So if these are some things that you don't know, consider it just as like a gift and things to know on the journey. It took me kind of a while to figure some of these out, but there's things that I really wish that somebody would have told me, but I think it was part of my journey to learn them the way that I did so that I could speak to them the way that I'm about to. All right, so first up, I have 3 main points. This is gonna have to be like a multiple part series, or maybe I'll cover another piece on my podcast. Yeah, I think I'll do that. I'll cover another section on my podcast because there's no way that I'm going to be able to fit everything into this video. So check out the podcast Cosmosis or whatever for the part 2 of this when that drops. Let's get into it. So the number one thing, or the first thing we're covering, the 3D and human things matter just as much as all of the spiritual, alien, magic stuff. Okay, let me say that again. The 3D and human things matter just as much, if not more, than all of the woo-woo, like spiritual stuff, tarot and meditation and all of that. Okay. One thing that I wish I knew earlier and that I would want anybody to know who is starting out on their spiritual journey, or as a reminder on your spiritual journey, you are inherently spiritual. Life is literally a spiritual experience. We are spirits experiencing a human lifestyle in this chunk and piece of time, right? We are souls experiencing a human lifetime, not the other way around. So it's very important to know that you are allowed and you are supposed to focus on being human just as much, if not more, than your spiritual side. And I think a huge part of that is integrating spirituality into your everyday life so that it doesn't become such a huge, like, different thing. Like, okay, this is my life and this is my spiritual life. You've already been living a spiritual life just by being alive. I think more what our spiritual journeys actually are when we say we are spiritual people, because I call myself a spiritual person. I haven't always called myself. Actually, I probably have. Yeah, now that I think about that, I probably always have, but maybe not everybody has, right? So if you are a spiritual person, I feel like what you're really meaning to say, or what that really means, is just that you are on a path of understanding that you have always been spiritual. if that makes sense. Like, you don't just become a spiritual person overnight. That really means that you are discovering that you have been spiritual all along. Let me know if that makes sense. I feel like some light bulbs, I'm channeling like light bulbs just went off. So if that really made sense for you, definitely drop it down in the comments. I would love to hear your guys' comments about all of these things. If these are things that you have experienced in your journey, or if these are things that are kind of downloads for you lately, I feel like you're going to find this at the perfect time, the divine timing that your spirit guides, the universe will bring this video to you exactly when you need to hear all this stuff. Okay. But kind of along with that, I used to think that being grounded was like a block to my spirituality. Okay. I literally thought that the more that I focused on human things, I couldn't be spiritual. And that is not true. Like I said, it's so opposite. I kind of like to see it as a tree. That's how I describe it to my students and mentees. You have a tree with all of its branches. And if you picture the branches as kind of like reaching up into the ethers, right? Into the spiritual world, other planes of existence besides our 3D earth, right? So if you are trying to stretch those branches out, what do you need to do? You need to make sure that your roots dig as deep as possible and that they are strong and stable and healthy. And I think not enough of us are doing that on our spiritual journey. And that is a beautiful place to start. If you're on a spiritual journey, work from your root chakra. Work from your root chakra. Okay, your root chakra is the red one. That's the one at the base of your spine. I've been studying chakras for, since I started my spiritual journey. And I think it really started to click maybe a couple years ago when I really started realizing like, oh, I cannot do everything spiritual, everything up here, these 4 chakras, the heart chakra, throat chakra, third eye, and crown. These ones govern a lot of your psychic abilities and stuff like that. Your whole body does, but these are the ones that people usually focus on. These are not going to be okay and healthy if you do not focus on your root, your sacral, your solar plexus. You have to kind of work. They're in a system, so that's not saying just to take them step by step per se, but starting with your root chakra, having a good foundation is going to be important, and learning how to ground yourself. Ground yourself after your readings. If you are a reader, if you're a diviner like me, learning how to do that. That's going to be something that we cover in my mentorship program that I open up later this year. But needing to make sure that you ground yourself before and after readings. And that's going to look different for different people, but also making sure that you have all of your human needs met before you start into your spiritual stuff. Have you eaten? A lot of people think grounding is just about putting your feet on the earth, and that is a great way to ground, but grounding is really being aware of your human self, your humanity, being aware of your body. So that includes taking care of your basic needs, food, shelter. If you guys know Maslow's hierarchy of needs, think Maslow's hierarchy of needs when it comes to spirituality. Self-actualization is on the very top. And if I'm not a Maslow expert, by the way, I just want to put that in here. I'm not a Maslow expert. I don't know that man, but I do know Maslow's hierarchy of needs ish. So at the base of the pyramid, if you go look it up, the base of the pyramid, it is talking about things that all deal with your root chakra. Feeling secure, feeling safe, having shelter, having food, having water, making sure that you are drinking water, making sure that you're taking the medicine that you need to take, feeling safe in your body. That is one of the first things you need to do on your spiritual journey. And that's where a lot of shadow work comes in, because fear, trust issues, things like that will disrupt your root chakra. So again, you don't have to master it before you can work on these upper chakras, but it's a good thing to know and always come back to your root chakra and grounding. Okay, so I think we kind of covered that one. That was a really good one. All of them are really good, but Okay, so next we have learning how energy works, period. Okay, so that is your protection work, your boundaries, balance. One thing that I found out in my journey by literally getting psychically attacked is that protection, yes, protection is inherent to a certain extent, but there are certain things that you can do to protect yourself, such as listening to your intuition. And by the time you're seeing this, I'll probably already have uploaded it, but I also want to do a video on, actually I already filmed the video on underrated forms of spiritual protection. And like I said, I know that because I've been psychically attacked multiple times by multiple people. Maybe I'll do a story time about it later and how you can prevent it, and what to do if you do get psychically attacked. But I used to think that protection means that you don't really have to do anything. Like, oh, well, I don't have to worry about it. I'm protected. And you are, but it reminds me of, the way I'll put it is, if you've seen The Pursuit of Happiness, that movie with Will Smith and Jaden Smith, at the very, very end, and you might be able to find this clip on YouTube if you haven't seen the movie, but at the very end, he tells this story about a guy who is drowning, and there is he prays to God. That's what happens. There's a man drowning in the ocean. He is praying to God, God, please help me. Please help me so that I don't drown, that I don't die. And then God sends a boat. I just ruined the punchline. Well, okay, so it's the ADHD for me. So I ruined the punchline, but basically a boat comes and they're like, hey, can we help you? And they were like, you know what? No, thank you. God will save me. Another boat comes. The man's drowning, flailing, and they're like, hey, can we help you? And he's like, no, thank you. God will save me. And then another boat comes by. Same thing. And then the guy drowns, goes to heaven, and he's like, God, why didn't you save me? And he goes, I sent you 3 big boats, you dummy. And so I kind of already, oh my gosh, I kind of gave it away. But basically, these tools that are being sent to you, they're from the universe. They're from God, Spirit, Creator, the source, whatever you want to call it. I truly believe it's all the same thing. That is where those things come from, but you have to be able to use them as tools. You can't just assume that you are automatically protected and nothing's going to happen to you. So by learning how to protect your energy, learning about your aura, I highly recommend learning about your aura very early on in your spiritual journey. How to balance things, kind of like we talked about with the root chakra. Boundaries, being able to have boundaries when you are learning to give readings. And all of these things are going to coincide with things that you're also learning, like just in life, right? Like I said, life is inherently spiritual. All of the things that you are learning will reflect your relationship to your tarot reading or your spirit guides or meditation, like whatever it is that whatever piece of spirituality that you want to focus on in that part of your life is going to be heavily affected by the lessons that you're learning in your life. And that's how everything comes together. That is called cosmosis. Everything is literally connected. That's why I named my podcast after. Okay, and that leads us into the next point with perfectly. Glance down at my notes and notice that just smoothly transitioned. The next thing and the last one that I'll talk about in this video is that everything is a reflection of you and your energy. Everything is a reflection of you and your energy. And I have a little cliff note in there that says intuition is bigger than you. So your intuition, like I said, is a tool for you. It's there to protect you. It's there to teach you. And a lot of us are actually very intuitive, especially when you start on your spiritual journey. You're going to start to get very intuitive, but are you listening? Are you paying attention? And are you acting on that intuition? Everything is a reflection of you and your energy. Whatever you have going on, I guess I kind of already covered it. Whatever you have going on whatever somebody is doing to bug you, I think what really helped me learn this lesson in particular was my twin flame. My twin flame journey was, some of you guys were there with me on it. If you were there, thank you for being there for one. It was a mess. But I learned so much on that journey, and that's what the twin flame journey is, to my understanding. And I have a video on that. But you discover yourself. But when you realize that all of these things that you hate about somebody, or all the things that they hate about you, are literally just reflections of each other, and that goes for your friendships, your family, relationships, you start to find out that, oh, this is just everything that I feel about myself being reflected back on me, so that I can recognize it and transcend it. It's kind of a crazy concept. Like I'm getting chills. My brain is like, and I feel like my third eye is like going off. But this intuition is bigger than you thing, it kind of reminds me of something that I didn't know existed till recently. It's called the burnt toast theory. And if you guys want a podcast on burnt toast theory, let me know. But burnt toast theory basically says that if you burn your toast and you're late for something, it's probably protecting you from like an accident or something like that, right? I truly believe in that. I believe that not just about bad things, but about anything that takes you off your path, or where you want to go. But that's why intuition is so important, because sometimes intuition might lead you to burn your toast. I think a lot of times we mistake intuition for just being perfect, if that makes sense. Like, okay, well, if I follow my intuition, then nothing wrong can happen to me. Your intuition is going to lead you down your highest path. And your highest path isn't perfect. It's going to be the one that takes you low-key through the mud sometimes, in order to get where you need to go, because you cannot transcend anything if there's no discomfort. If you always get what you want, you know what I'm saying? So I really hope that makes sense for you guys. I hope that that's given you some things for no matter what part of your spiritual journey you're on. It's kind of making your third eye and your crown throb. If you want to get further into it, if you would like some mentorship, definitely check out my website. If you want to join us on Patreon and get this super cute hoodie, this hoodie is only available for the top tier of Patreon after you join for 3 months. This is something that I designed. This is Moon Dude. Say hello, he's so cute. But yeah, on my Patreon, we talk about all things spiritual. You get into my monthly full moon meditations. So if you're really looking to level up spiritually, like I said, these are going to be great things to focus on and think about, and the things that I do in part 2 on the podcast. But joining Patreon, that might be an investment that you need to make in yourself if you are really looking to level up, if you're really looking to go deeper into yourself, your shadows, and really get that medicine from it. So I hope that these things have helped you. Let me know in the comments. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye. Thanks for watching.